is the second type, that is aggregation. Now in the association we are having the has a relationship, but they are not dependent on each other, they are independent, right? But here we will be having the weak ownership. Correct, there was no ownership, right? So here what is the definition? The whole container object uses or contains the part object, okay, but does not own it. That means this is the class A. Class A will uses the class B but does not own it, okay. So is a special form of association. It represent a whole part relationship where whole uses the part but doesn't own it, right? And the part can exist independently of the whole. Let's take the example of department or the engine. Let's take the example of this department. So university has a list of departments, right? But a department can exist without a university also, right? Can be moved to the another university. So I'm saying I'm having a university, and within that there is a list of departments, okay, list of departments, but this university is using the departments, does not own it, right? So university can exist without department also, right? Same with the department, it can exist without university, so it can move to the different university also, different university. So basically what is the use? We are using it, right? So university will have the departments, correct? So this is the weak ownership, right? Let's understand it more clearly. What is weak ownership? So basically the parent reference the child, okay, this will be the parent, this will be the child. So it references the child but does not control its life cycle. So it does not control the life cycle of department. It can exist without university also. So the child can create externally. Now this is the important point. First point was it will be using it. It will be using it, right? That means the parent will be using the child but does not own it, doesn't own it, okay. Now the second point is object, the child object will be created externally, right? Not within the same class, externally. Now here parent and child is not the inheritance, right? We are just referring to the classes. This will be the parent and parent will be using the child. This is not the inheritance, correct? So the child can exist without parent. So the third point will be child exist without parent, okay, without parent. So these are the properties of the weak ownership, or we can say what, aggregation, right? Understood the points? Okay, great. So this will be the example of aggregation, right? If we are not passing this department, then it will be the issue. It will throw the error that it is expecting the department. Now the key points: the department object were created outside, right? That means they can exist independently also and passed into the university. So the university does not own them, only regression. At the end I will show you the difference between all of the three: aggregation, association and this composition. Then you will get the better idea. Okay, the life cycle. If we destroy the university object, the department object still exists, right? Let's say if we deleted this or does not create this university, then department will be there, right? It does not affect the department object. That's the weak ownership. No dependency on the parent lifecycle. So this was the example of what? Aggregation, right? And this is the basically the diagram. We used to use this hollow diagram for the aggregation. This is how we represent aggregation, hollow diamond. Now these are the characters of the aggregation. Relationship, whole part, I explained you, right? The ownership will be weak. They both are independent, the parent and the child. Object creation, it will be externally, right? Outside the parent class, right? We are just passing the object reference into the parent. Object reuse, part can be shared and reused, right? Important. This is again the important part. The object, the child, can be shared among different objects also, different departments also, university also, right? So department can be shared among different universities. This is the example of weak ownership. That's it. And when to use the aggregation? The parent uses the child but does not control it, right? The child object can exist independently. The child may be shared across the different parents. You want modular loosely coupled design. This is the example of loosely coupled, right? They both are independent of each other. And these are some example of aggregation. The car and the engine. Let's take this example. Let's say a car is there, right? It will use the engine, right? So engine object is there, car class is there, right? And we are passing this what? Engine object in the car class. That is what? Aggregation, right? So we are having the reference of the engine object, engine class in the car class, and we are passing the object. That means the car is using engine. Okay. Thus we have defined in the car implementation only. So this is what? Aggregation, right? So the engine is passed externally, and if car is destroyed, engine still exists because they are independent of each other. This engine object will be created in the main class. Okay, after creation, the object of engine equal to new engine, we will pass in the object of car C equal to new car eng, right? So if car destroyed, this engine will still exist. Okay, great. So the third one is composition, that is strong ownership. Now the definition is a strong form of aggregation where the whole, that is the parent, completely owns the part, that is the child. Okay, so we are talking about the ownership of the child in regards with the parent, right? So the child object cannot exist without the parent. Okay, great. First point is clear. Child does not exist without parent. Earlier it can exist, right? It can exist, but here it's not that case. Second point is the child life cycle is tightly bound to the parent. That means if parent destroyed, child will also destroy. Okay, this is what? Tight coupled. Okay, now if parent is responsible for creating, so the parent is responsible for creating and the destroying the child. That means creating the child object within the parent class. Within the parent class. If we delete this parent object, our child object will also get deleted. If we create this parent class, the child object will also create. Okay, so this is the strong form of aggregation. Strong form of aggregation. Understood the point? So here is the point. If parent object is destroyed, the child object must be destroyed. This makes the ownership strong and exclusive. And why it's called the strong ownership, we already seen these points. The same points are there. The child cannot exist independently. Parent fully manages the child life cycle. Child is often created inside the parent class. The child object is private to the parent. Okay, that means within the same class. Okay, the child is not shared. So fourth point will be child not shared. Got it? So here is tight coupling, we can say. Got it? Let's check the example of human and hurt, right? So human can have the hurt, right? So it doesn't exist without the human, right? So if we see the example, we are having the class heart and we are having the human, right? So what we are doing, we are creating this object with the reference of heart, right? And we are making it private. In the constructor, what we are doing, we are creating its object, right? We have taken the reference of the heart class, and in the constructor, that means when we will create human, the heart will automatically get created inside that particular human, right? And if we destroy human, the hurt will also get destroyed, will also destroy, correct? So that's what we are doing. If we are creating the hurt, that means it will call the constructor. In the constructor, what we are doing, we are creating the heart, right? New heart. This is what composition created internally, right? And if we destroy it, it will automatically get destroyed. Okay, so this will be happening in the main class. In the main class, we will be creating the object of this human, and it will automatically get the heart. So there are the key points. Heart is created inside the human. That is what? Tight binding. No reuse of heart. We can't use this heart anywhere, right? Because this is private to this human class, and heart cannot exist without human. Got it? We are not creating any object of heart outside the class, outside the human class. So here is the lifecycle control, what I have explained. When we create the object of human, that means human h equal to new human, it will create the heart internally in the constructor. And when we will destroy the human, that means h equal to null, heart object also get lost, eligible for the garbage collection. See here, we are having the class here, right? Class heart. We can create the object in the main class also. Main class, let's say heart equal to h equal to new heart, right? But we can create it, but this is not the case of composition. Then this is not the composition, right? This will not be the composition. This is the composition. What we are doing in the constructor, we are creating the object, right? We are not passing the object, we are creating the object internally. This is what composition. That means the child will be dependent on the parent. So here is the composition, and this is how we represent it. Filled diamond, the arrow points from the whole, that is the parent, to the child, to the part, whole part. Okay, let's compare them now. So I am saying in the association the ownership level is none, in the aggregation it's weak, in the composition it's strong, and the life cycle will be separate, both classes will be separate, right? And here it's again independent, here it's bound to the parent, that means dependent to the parent. Okay, let's see the example. So here comes the association. So there is a loose link, both are independent, right? Parent and child, they can exist without each other, right? Both objects are independent. So if we create or destroy parent, so there will be no effect on the child, right? And if we create or destroy the child, there will be no effect on the parent. We have seen the example of student and library, right? Library. So here let's say we will be creating the object of student, we will be creating the object of library, and there will be one method in the library, let's say allow entry. So we will be passing the object of this student, that means this student is allowed in the library, right? This is what we are just using the reference of the student, right? We are passing the reference, that means this student is allowed, right? So it can exist without the student also. If we are not passing, then also it will be working fine, correct? So destroying library doesn't affect the student, destroying student doesn't affect the library, both exist separately. Association means just a reference, not a dependency, right? Not a dependency. This is association. Okay, now aggregation. Here this was no ownership, there will be weak ownership, right? Weak ownership. Let's check the example now. So here parent and child uses but does not own. So parent will use the child but does not own. Thus child will be created outside and can be exist without parent also, right? So child is passed in from the outside, right? Created outside. Parent keeps a reference to the child. We will be passing this object in the parent object, right? And child may be shared across other parents also. This can be passed to other parent also, parent 2, right? So if the parent destroyed, child still exists. If the child destroyed, parent must handle it, right? Because it is expecting the child object, so it should handle the null checks, right? So here is the example. We are having the engine object, we are having the the car object, and we are passing the engine object here, right? So the car uses engine, this is aggregation, right? This is weak association, weak ownership, we can say ownership, right? The object is created outside, we are just passing the reference of the object. Okay, so the car uses the engine, this is weak ownership, that is aggregation. Now if car is destroyed, engine still exists. If engine is destroyed, then they will be failing, but we can handle it, right? So there is a weak relationship, we can say, or the ownership, right? And the parent and the child can exist independently, but parent may break if it tries to access a destroyed child, it does not own. Okay, got it? The weak ownership. Understood now? So the last one is composition. Here the parent owns the child, right? This will be the strong ownership. That means the parent owns the child. The parent is responsible for the creation and the destroying the child. The child cannot exist independently. Okay, so if the parent destroyed, child will also destroy. If the child destroy independently, this is not possible, right? Why? Because this is a private object inside what? Inside the parent, right? Child is private and internally created, so we can't destroy it from the outside. Got it? So let's take the example of this car only. Car is having the private engine, right? So in the class only, in the car class only, we are creating the object of this engine. That means this is what? This is the composition, that is strong, right? Now our car handles or owns engine, right? It is not using externally, it is having its own engine, right? It is not having the external engine. Now it is having its own engine, that is called strong ownership, that is called composition. So if the car destroyed, engine is gone, right? It will be eligible for the garbage collection. If you try to get the engine outside, this will be not allowed because strong encapsulation. We are having the engine private. Okay, so what about child to parent? Child has no separate identity because this is created inside the parent. It lives and dies with the parent. Child cannot exist without the parent. It created inside the parent, right? That's all. There is a final comparison between all these. So if parent destroyed, no effect in the association. You can read it, right? I have explained it already. Basically these are this is weak ownership, this is no ownership, right? So there will be no effect on the parent, on the child if parent destroyed, right? We will be having the effect on the composition. If parent is destroyed, then this child will also get destroyed. If child is destroyed, there will be no effect on the association base because there is no ownership. They both are independent of each other. But here in the aggregation there is weak ownership, so it may break if accessed, right? If access the null child, that is the destroyed child, and here it's not allowed because we are having the private child. And can child exist without the parent? In association, yes, they are independent. In aggregation, yes, they are again independent. But composition, no, because we are creating the child inside the parent, so it can't exist without the parent. And here are some features. I already explained it. You can read them for your interview reference. The notes are provided in the description. One more example for the composition and the other things also, right? The type is composition, the type is basically this is the social network app, we can say, and these are the relationships, and which type of relationship is this and what is the reason. So you can read it before your interview.